Hi everyone. Good morning. Let us start with day 41, day 44 of our regular SAP FICO session. Today we'll try to understand what the standard costing is, the process to run the standard costing, and the configuration, the additional configuration that are required to do the standard costing, the master data that are required to do the standard costing. Okay. So as per our earlier sessions where we designed our cost component structure, we understood that to produce the chocolate, which is our end product, we will require the cocoa butter and the that milk powder. So first thing that we need to produce is cocoa butter, and to produce the cocoa butter we knew that sugar and cocoa beans are the raw materials. Now we'll process the sugar and cocoa beans to produce cocoa butter, but in our production process, as discussed earlier, the cocoa liquid will also get produced, and we will treat this cocoa liquid as a co-product because we'll be able to sell this in the market. Okay, now let us summarize this. We are producing chocolate in our company code, and to produce chocolate we will require powder and we will require cocoa butter. So to produce cocoa butter we need the raw materials of sugar and cocoa beans, and along with cocoa butter, when we process sugar and cocoa beans together, cocoa liquid also gets produced. So we are telling that cocoa liquid is my co-product. Okay, so the total cost that will incur for the manufacturing, we will bifurcate between the cocoa butter and cocoa liquid into 60 and 40 ratio. If the total cost, let's say it is 2000 for this production process, okay, then the cost of 60% should go into the cocoa butter and 40% should come into the cocoa liquid. So what is the bifurcation? It has to be this much should come here and 800 should come here, and in total it becomes 2000. So this is how the bifurcation of the cost should happen. Okay, now I hope you have understanding of these things. Okay, now let us see what configurations or what additional master data we need to create. The first thing is we will be creating a separate cost center for this to track the cost that will be incurred for manufacturing process of cocoa butter. So I have created RCI underscore G3 as the cost center. Let me just show you this practically into the system. KS03 RCIZ, and here we have this cost center. So the cost center category I have put as F is nothing but the production. So this is a production cost center, and where we have the mapping profit center as well. So this profit center also I have created /n KE53. You see, this is my profit center, and this profit center is assigned the cost center. Okay, so these are my cost center and profit center. The next is we'll create the responsible person. So this identifies who is the person responsible for this manufacturing process of the cocoa butter. So let's have a look at designing the responsible person. So the responsible person is defined under the production in the SPRO, basic data, work center, general data, and here we have determined person responsible. So the person responsible that we have designed is RCID. So in our plant RCID, we have Ram as the responsible person who will be responsible for this manufacturing of cocoa butter. Okay. Next is defining the parameter. Let's go back. Under the work center, we have defined parameters. So here, first parameter that we have is the labor. So labor is one of the activity that will be conforming in the production line. There will be some labor working in the production line, and that will be conforming from the routing. So that is this is the first parameter that we need, labor, and it is measured in the hours, like how many hours this particular labor has worked. Next parameter is machine. There will be machine also working. So for machine also, we have taken as the unit as machine hour. The next is energy. Energy. So energy will be measuring in kilowatt. So these are the three, because if we see our cost component structure that we design in day this, we are saying the labor, machine, and energy we will be taking through the routing. So if we are taking something from the routing, we must design these parameters. This is one thing. After this, we will require the formula. So for designing the formula, we have that under the costing. So let me show you the under the production basic data work center. Under the work center we have costing, and under costing we have work center formulas, and here we have defined formulas for work center. So again we have to create the work center for all those three. Let's look at the labor. So for the labor, this is the formula that is designed. Similarly for machine, also we have this particular formula. The next is energy. For energy we have this formula. So the three parameters and three formulas we have to create. The next thing, this all these three settings are from the production planning, but since we do not have a production planning consultants over here, I'm doing it myself and not going into much detail into this. The next thing, we design the standard value key. So the standard value key node O is over here. So the standard value key that I have designed is RCII. In the RCII, if you see that labor, machine, and energy, the three parameters that we designed in the earlier step have been linked over here for RCII standard value key. Let's go back. Now, after this, before we create the work center, we have to set the frame setup in KP26. KP26 is planning the activity rates. So we go in KP26, we provide all the details. Sorry, period number 1 until period number 12 for fiscal year 2025, cost center RCIZ underscore G3, and from energy until machine. Form based, and click on this. And after we give any plan activities here, we can, as of now we are just giving a dummy number over here based on the setup that we prepare, that is the energy, indirect material, labor, and machine. We will get these information when we create the work center. That is the reason this setting up this KP26 framework is important over here. So after giving this plan activity, we can save it. So this is the thing we do here, that is the KP26 frame setup. After that, the most important thing that we have to make sure is in the activity master, in the work center, and in the routing, everywhere in all those three places we have to make sure that the unit of measure is same. That is labor for labor we are using hour, for machine also we are using hour, for energy we are using kilowatt. So this unit of measure has to be the same in all these three master data, that is the work center, in the routing, or in the activity master. Okay, so this is important point that we have to remember. Next is we will see the work center that we have designed. So slash n, work center design is CR01 and display is CR03. Plant RCID and the work center is RCIZ underscore 3. It is RCIZ underscore 3. Let me also make a change over here. RCIZ underscore 3 underscore G3 is my work center. So here you see the work center category is machine and the usage is 9. That is, I will allow all the task types here. All task types are allowed. And here you see whatever the parameters that you have designed is coming over here. That is labor, machine, and energy. And if you see the units of measure, that is what you have to set it over here. And as I told, you have to make these unit of measure exactly the same that is maintained in the activity master. So for all these, for the labor, for the machine, for the energy, we already have the activity masters, and this is the unit of measure that was set over there, and the same unit of measure is set over here. The next is in the costing tab. We have to make a map between the parameters, that is for labor we have to assign the labor activity, for machine, for energy, and also we have to put the activity unit over here, and the formula that we have designed. For labor we have designed labor, for machine, energy. So this is the linkage over here. We are linking the parameter with the formula, and we are also linking all those together with the activity types, and we are assigning the cost center over here along with the validity days that we have given. So this is the detail from the work center that we have. The designing of the work center is also part of the production planning consultant, not the cost accountant. But as you already aware, we do not have any production planning consultants, that's why we have to design it ourselves. The next thing is we need to create these material masters, right? In our earlier session we have already created the sugar, cocoa beans, and now we have to create this cocoa butter. So to create this cocoa butter, as you know, is a semi finished goods, and the semi finished goods is represented by the material type HALB, right? So for the HALB material type, we have to select the external number assignment so that we can create the material code that we want. For doing the external number assignments to the material master, we have to go here, logistic general attribute of material type. Let's see that. Slash n, going into SPRO, going in the logistics general and material master, basic setting, material type, define attributes of the material types, and for HALB, we should make sure that this external number assignments without check is selected. When you select this, then you can create the material number with any number that you want. This is the benefit. So we have completed this step also. Next is defining the material group. For the semi-finished goods, we have not created any material group as of now. So let's create that. Let's go back, and no. And here you have settings for key fields, and here you have the material group. So the material group for RCI SFG. RCI SFG for semi-finished goods is the material group that we have created. The next thing is, now we have everything ready to create the material. So we'll be creating the cocoa butter and also the cocoa liquid. We'll create two material masters. So let me show the material master for cocoa butter first. MM03 is the T code. In this plant and storage location, the base unit of measure is kg. Material group we have assigned over here that we just created. Enter. Here we do not have anything. In the purchasing, we have the purchasing group who is responsible to procure this particular material. We have a material group. Click and enter. And here we have no MRP type planning. And here we say this is a co-product. Co-product, we are saying this is a co-product because along with this cocoa butter, we will also get cocoa liquid. So we have to choose both cocoa butter and cocoa liquid as a co-product. So this is also co-product, and if it is a co-product, okay, we will come into this joint production later. But as of now, we are selecting this as a co-product because along with this production, the another material will get produced itself. Next, we for availability check, we are saying as no check. Strategy group where we are taking as MTO process. This is not sorry, MTS process, that is make to stock. We do MTS stock is nothing but we produce and keep the stock, and as whenever we receive any sales order, then we sell that product. Unlike the MTO scenario, MTO is make to order. That means first we receive the sales order, and then based on the sales order requirement, we will be creating the goods. So the difference between MTS and MTO is MTS, we do not have sales order in hand, but we produce, we keep in stock, and when we receive the sales order, we sell that. But in MTO, what happens? First we receive the sales order, based on that we make the production, and then we sell that production against that sales order. So this is the difference. So as of now, for this particular material, I am choosing as MTS because this is not related to any sales order. Okay, next. Next is MRP4. We do not have anything, and the plant data storage 1, we do not have anything, only we have the base unit of measure. The next is in the plant data storage 2, we have the profit center, that the profit center we designed newly. And warehouse, we do not have anything in the accounting 1. Accounting 1, you see ML active. This is by design, since in S4 HANA material ledger should be activated. We have the valuation class for semi-finished goods. The price determination is 3, that means we'll be running the actual costing for this. And here I have put 100 as dummy standard price for the cocoa butter, because anyways we are going to run the standard costing, and by which this number will get, this price will get overridden. So this is in accounting 1. In accounting 2, we do not have anything. In the costing 1, we have with quantity structure and material, this should be selected for every material, and we have the overhead group as RCII. Based on this overhead group, the overheads will be calculated when we run the standard costing. In our example, the overheads that we have taken here, the overhead that we have in our cases are, if we see over here, the overheads that we are bringing from the costing sheet are repair and maintenance, quality cost, and the R&D cost. So these three costs will be calculated based on this overhead group and the configuration that we have done for the costing sheet. Next, in the costing 2, you see the standard cost as of now, that is manually input is 100. This will anyways be overwritten when we execute the standard costing. Now, so this is the material master for cocoa butter. You see this material number I have given, anything that I want, because in the material attribute type, material type, I have already given the number range to be external, otherwise this would not be allowed. The next that we'll be looking as the material master for the liquid, for this liquid, which is also a co-product, and it gets produced automatically when producing the butter. So everything we have the same unit of measure, we have the purchasing group, material group, we have MRP type, SND, and this, for this also we have to select the co-product, and here we will be producing this in-house, that's why it is in-house production E. And then we have availability check as no. For this also the strategy group is 10 MTS scenario. The next we have the base unit of measure, and we have the profit center assigned to it. In the accounting 1, again I have provided the dummy standard cost for this as of now. This will also be overwritten by the costing that we run. And this liquid, this we are not going to use in further production, that's why I have taken this as a finished product. And we have the ML active, and price determination is 3, that means we are going to run the actual costing. Accounting 2, we do not have anything. Here we have the with quantity structure selected and material origin selected. Overhead group is RCIA to calculate the overhead. Again we have the profit center. The next we have the dummy standard cost, that is 100. Anyways, we are going to calculate it again. Now, this is all about the master data. So this master data we have created for cocoa butter and cocoa liquid. Now we have the work center. Work center means the place where the actual production will happen. It can be a machine, it can be a people, it can be a group of people, or any other place. Okay, so we are saying at rciz underscore g3 the production will happen, and the production will be happening for cocoa butter, and during production of the cocoa butter, cocoa liquid it will itself be prepared. And this is a semi-finished, this is a semi-finished material group. Okay, now the next is we will set up the source structure. In the source structure we simply assign all the cost elements, all the cost elements which are responsible for cost, which are responsible for cost. So let's go into SPRO. In the SPRO, under the controlling we have product cost controlling. Going in the product cost controlling, product cost planning, and we have selected functions for material costing, selected functions for in material costing. And here we have costing in case of joint production, costing in case of joint production, because our example is a joint production, right? There is two materials that are produced simultaneously. So the source structure that I have created is RC, and I have assigned all cost elements to this. You see, from 1 until all lines, everything is assigned over here. So by assigning everything over here, that means all the cost elements which are responsible for costing will also be within this range. So this is the first thing that we have done, is maintaining the source structure. The next we have to do is we have to create one GL account, because this GL account will be assigned in the allocation structure. This GL account has the cost element category as 21, which is for internal settlement. So let me just show you the properties of this GL account. /o fs00, and under the secondary GL 921. This is sorry, this one is yeah, this one is a internal settlement, and the cost element category that you have is 21, and the 21 is for internal settlement, because this will internally be used within controlling module. Field status group, you have secondary cost. So this is the setting that you do here for creation of the one additional GL account for settlement. Next is creation of the allocation structure. If we go back, yeah, so we have that over here. Under the settlement we have the creation of the allocation structure. So let me just show you. Under product cost planning, under the cost object controlling, product cost by order, period and closing, and here we have under the settlements we have the creation of the allocation structure. So what I have done, the allocation structure that I have created is RC, and here we have the three things: goods issue, confirmation, and overhead, because these are the ways by which the cost is calculated in the order. First the raw materials are issued and the activities are confirmed, and there are some overheads that are also loaded onto the product cost. So these are the three types of cost that occur in a product. Going into the source, so we for raw material consumption we are saying 400, 200 to 400, 299 are the GL accounts that will be responsible for the cost of raw materials. And here we are saying for the GL for settling to the GL account, it has to be settled by cost element, and for the profitability segment and for the sales order item we have created additional GL accounts on which the settlement has to be executed. So this is we set over here, and same thing we have to do for the confirmation. For the confirmation are the activities cost that are coming from the routing. So for this we have already designed 943 sequence of cost elements, and here again all those three things has to be maintained. The next assignment is overhead. For the overhead, the source of this cost is 941 categories of cost elements. So 941 all zeros, 941 all nines. And under the settlement we have again the same things. For the GL we have the settlement by cost element. For the profitability segment and sales order item we have the 921 000, which is the new internal settlement GL account that we just created. So this is the configuration that we have to do in the allocation structure. After this, we have to create the settlement profile. So the settlement profile that I have created is RCIZ. In the RCIZ, if you check, I have assigned the source structure and allocation structure. And I have told the settlement to the GL account should be allowed, cost center should be allowed, order, WBS, fixed asset, material, everything I have made is optional. Similarly to the profitability segment, sales order, cost object, sales order item, everything these are optional. We have to select these as optional so that the so that the settlement to these objects are allowed. And here 100% validation, percentage settlement, equivalence, number wise settlement, amount wise settlement, everything is allowed over here. So in short, we have to make the valid receivers as optional, and here we have to assign the allocation structure and source structure that we designed in the previous cases, and these are the indicators that we have to select. Let's go back. So now we have our allocation structure, source structure, this additional GL account, settlement profile, everything ready, right? Now in the cocoa butter we have to maintain the joint production. So let's go into the material master mm02, and we have to go into butter. In the butter, what we are saying is in MRP2 tab, in the MRP2 tab we have this joint production, right? Under this joint production we are saying that whatever the cost that is incurred for butter and for liquid, okay, in the process of manufacturing this particular thing, in the process of manufacturing with including sugar and beans. So we are saying this butter should get 60% of the cost, and liquid, cocoa liquid, should get 40% of the cost that we discussed in the business process session. So that is what we have to set. We have set up in the joint production. We have given 60% to butter and 40% to liquid. The next is we have to assign some. We have to assign the GL accounts for the SFG valuation class. So we have created some COGS GL account. This 300 and 200, right? This COGM GL account has to be assigned in OBYC. For the finished goods, we have already assigned. For the for this SFG also we have to assign now. So that is under GBB, and this AUA for semi-finished goods, and AUF for semi-finished goods, 300, 200, and 300, 201. Those GL accounts which we just saw, 300, 200, and 300, 201. These GL accounts we have to assign in AUA and AUF for semi-finished goods valuation class as well, because this will get hit at the time when we run the standard costing. Now this is also one of the configuration that we have to do. Now these are from the configuration perspective, these are all the things. Now whatever we do, these are all from the master data perspective. So after the master data we will be executing the transaction data. Okay, so from the configuration, let us just quickly revise whatever we have done. We created the cost center, created the profit center, created the person who is responsible for this manufacturing process. We have defined the parameters for the activities that we have in the routing. So in routing we have labor, machine, energy cost, right, which will be confirmed in the production line. So we have to design the formula also for labor, machine, and energy. The next is we have the standard value key. In the standard value key is nothing but we combine all those things. And next is in the KP26 we set the frame, and we have to make sure that the activity quantity unit in the activity master, work center, routing, everything should be same. The next is work center. Work center, we already know that it is a place where the production happens. So we designed a work center wherein we told, like, in this work center we will be performing these three particular operations, which are labor, machine, energy. And we give the external number for semi-finished goods material type so that we can create the material of our number that we want. And we have created the one material group for semi-finished goods. And then we created the material master for butter and liquid. After creating this, we also saw the source structure and the allocation structure. as we know that the source structure and allocation structure both contains the list of the GL account that is responsible for cost. And the source structure I have assigned all the GL accounts, and the allocation structure I have selected only the GL accounts that are responsible for cost incurrence. Yeah. And then we have assigned the allocation structure and the source structure in the settlement profile. And post that we maintain the joint production, wherein we told 60% of the total cost that incurs should go to butter, and 40% should go to the liquid. And then we maintain the OBYC for the semi-finished goods valuation class for the order settlement and this UGM GL account for in AUA and AUF under OBYC GBB. So these are the things we have done in today's session. This session is becoming a bit lengthy, so I am stopping for the day. We'll meet again tomorrow in the next session. Let us close now. I hope these all the things that we have discussed today is pretty much clear to you. Thank you.